Hi, I'm Diane Harmon.
And I'm Brendan Lowe. Thanks for joining us for another episode of CCSD News and Review. Our big story today is the one-year anniversary of the Camden Commitment. As regular viewers know, the Camden Commitment is the district's strategic plan that was created after Superintendent Rahanafard's 100-day listening tour. It's now been a year since the plan came out, and so the superintendent joined with Mayor Redd, City Council President Frank Moran, Principal Keith Miles, and scores of other community partners to talk about what progress his team has made, where they've fallen short, and where they go from here.
As noted in the document, last year, more than half of our students at Wilson reported that they wish they attended another school. This feedback directly from students is alarming and disheartening. The fact is, if we want to continue to increase our graduation rates, we must do more to make our schools appealing for our students. This year, we worked to change this perception about our school. Our teachers, leaders, and support staff have committed themselves to making Woodrow Wilson the school of choice. This is our slogan and our focus, making Wilson a place where our students want to be. To achieve this, our first step was to make our school more calm. To provide the structure and the environment our students need to learn and to thrive. We instituted 3 measures. We insist that our students arrive on time, they wear the correct uniform, and that they leave off-task technology at home. As a result of these 3 shifts, more students are starting their day on time and with breakfast. More students are spending more time in class and less time outside or in the hallways. In addition, countless neighbors and community members they've mentioned that our students are rushing to get into the building in the morning, and fewer students are loitering during the school day in the community. Parents and law enforcement, they noticed the changes as well.
I think this morning, as I reflected on some comments, it was Malcolm X that stated, education is your passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. And that is what this Camden Commitment and this collaboration is all about.
I want to say that, Payman, I commend you for the work that you've done and the work that is to be done. I'd ask everyone here to join us. We may not all be on the same page all the time, but at the end of the day, if we have the future of our children in our heart, in our minds, and in our passion to move forward, we will make the right decisions to help them out. Because if we don't, we're failing, folks.
In a 20-minute speech, the superintendent focused on doing whatever is necessary for kids, beginning with doubling the amount of time that 9th and 10th grade students at Camden High School and Woodrow Wilson High School spend on reading and math each day.
We will focus intensively on literacy and math in the earliest grades, grades 9 and 10, at our comprehensive high schools with a goal of doubling the amount of time those students spend in those subjects. Right now, many of our incoming 9th graders are starting high school significantly behind for us to expect them to catch up without spending additional time in those core subject areas. This problem is widespread, unfortunately. Last year, only 24% of high school students were able to do math and literacy on grade level, barely 1 out of 4. To make sure this additional time is useful, we will train our high school teachers so that when 9th and 10th graders begin the 2015-16 school year, they will be supported by a far more intensive and appropriate literacy and math program.
Superintendent Rahanafard also disputed the idea that the type of school, whether it is a Renaissance school or a charter school or a district school, is a big deal.
I want to begin today by sharing with you 2 stories about actual Camden students, one current, one former. We'll call them Joseph and James. Joseph is a former student. According to his state test scores, he entered high school behind grade level in every subject. Once he got to high school, he received little additional support. His absences increased. Soon he had a C in algebra, an F in English, D's in biology and US history. Not long after that, Joseph dropped out of high school, and that's where his academic record ends and his criminal record begins. As a juvenile, he was arrested on drug charges twice, receiving probation each time. He was arrested on weapons charges and received jail time. He again caught up on drug charges, this time in a school zone, and since then, he has been arrested again on weapons charges. Joseph is currently in jail. James is a 5-year-old, a current kindergartner. He arrived on the first day of school only able to identify 10 letters in the alphabet. For context, a kindergarten student should know every letter in the alphabet and be able to write his or her first name and last name at the start of the school year. So naturally, James struggled. But James was beginning to make progress. Then suddenly and unexpectedly, his mother had a stroke. James's school rallied around him. His teachers visited him in the hospital, brought him food, his family food, and they were there by his side at a time of need. Tragically, James's mother passed away. The height of misfortune for a young boy whose life was already challenging. But that's not the end of James's story. His teachers brought him birthday and Christmas presents to lift his spirits, and most importantly, they never gave up on him. Today, James, though shaken by this tragedy, is reading above grade level. Somehow, with all that's gone on, he's mastered all of the math concepts expected of a kindergartner, and somehow through it all, he has gotten on track academically and has all the opportunity in the world ahead of him. These stories remind us of the unconscionable challenges many of our students and families face in this city, but also the profound sense of possibility our schools hold. James's story captures the daily heroism of our teachers, who help students overcome these challenges no matter the severe obstacles, no matter how stark the challenge. There's a lesson here. With earlier intervention, Joseph could have been James. Through more adequate support, we could have at least gotten Joseph a high school diploma and an opportunity to work for a living. At the same time, if we don't continue the progress we've started, James could one day become Joseph. That is why we are committed to this work. Yes, our students experience challenges that their peers in Cherry Hill don't face. They often lack the supports that students in other parts of this country take for granted. And that's precisely why our schools need to do more for them. Many of our students are walking in with a significant disadvantage. So it is our civic responsibility, it is our moral obligation to ensure that they can access the same quality education as students in more affluent communities in this country. Our kids have extraordinary ability and tenacity. So if you're going to argue that poverty is destiny, then frankly, you don't know our students and you don't know their potential. Think a moment about our bedrock American values: opportunity, equality, liberty. The values so many places in this world don't share. The values many parents were, the values my parents were seeking when we fled Iran to arrive in this country when I was about James's age. For so many of our students and families, especially those who face the biggest struggles, we have fallen short of the very ideals upon which our country was founded. We are here today to imagine a better Camden for all of our Josephs and all of our Jameses. To imagine a Camden where every student finishes kindergarten on or ahead of grade level, like James will do. Where that progress continues to the next grade and the next grade and the grade after that until after 13 years in our public schools, our city's Jameses are ready to choose from a college of their dreams or find a fulfilling career. Imagine the day when all of our Jameses become the leaders of this city, the next mayor, the next council president, the next business leaders, and yes, maybe even the next superintendent. That is our destination.
The event, which was held at Woodrow Wilson High School, also included remarks by a parent, Mary Jane Timbe, who graduated from Camden schools and now has 4 children in schools throughout the city.
I am hopeful today that the district will work with and support our principal and teachers here and at other schools around the city to make improvements. We want change. We want great schools. As parents, we want to have choices and good options. That's why I'm thrilled that the district has started partnership with Mastery to build new Renaissance schools. I want every school in Camden to be great, and as a parent, I am here today because I want to work together with other parents, the district, and all other schools so that every school in Camden is great.
As part of the event, the district also produced a progress report in English and Spanish, which you can find at our website, camden.k12.nj.us. Diane?
2015 is the first year for new state tests in New Jersey, and the school district is making sure students, parents, and educators know what's up. Of course, no one likes tests, but it's important to be as informed as possible. The school district created a new webpage, camden.k12.nj.us/PARCC, PARC, with family-friendly resources, including a comparison between the old and new tests, an FAQ, and a link to sample questions. The district is also holding a series of informational meetings throughout the city to make sure families can get their questions answered. Deputy Superintendent Sean Gallagher recently joined Advisory Board member Taisha Munir to discuss the new test with 24 parents and educators at Woodrow Wilson High School.
PARC is a brand new test, and it replaces in New Jersey the HESPA test, which we've been using for years in high school, and also the NJS test that we've been using in elementary school. And the reason why PARC is significant, folks, you can see that it's going to be used this year in 12 states and in Washington, D.C. in grades 3 through 11.
This year's tests take about the same amount of time as previous year's tests. To find out about your school's testing window, contact your community school coordinator.
In other news, the new year has gotten off to a great start for the district's social media channels. The Camden City School District's Facebook page passed 1,000 likes, and the district Twitter account now has more than 500 followers. If you're not one of them, find us on Facebook and Twitter today. It's the first stop for weather-related information and a regular source of celebrations and updates about our schools.
In the mover and shaker category, Principal Keith Miles from Woodrow Wilson High School recently had the opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. to meet with school leaders from across the country and share what's working best in their schools. Principal Miles also had the chance to sit down and talk with the Secretary of the United States Department of Education, Arnie Duncan. Closer to home, Dr. Tarun Kapoor, the Senior Medical Director of the Virtua Medical Group, visited the sophomore class at Brim Medical Arts High School during their exposures class on January 21st. Dr. Kapoor, a surgeon, spoke with the students about how he entered the field of medicine and how they can follow in his footsteps.
I was a bit of a science geek, but I was also a bit of a musician geek, and my interests were all over the place. I like government, I like all different things. The great thing about medicine is that it's not just science, but it's also about people and humanity. And you can bring creativity to medicine, and that is a great selection. We talked about a bunch of different things with regards to medicine, but also constantly think about what's out there, what can be done differently, challenge yourself, and most importantly of all, not only just follow your passions, but you also follow your efforts.
As we wrap up school news, we pause to celebrate some of the unsung heroes in schools. Guidance counselors. Early February was National Counselors Week, and the district celebrated some of the educators who assist students with a range of challenges, including navigating the college application process. February is also Black History Month and Career and Technical Education Month. We'll have features on both of those celebrations in our next newscast. And now it's time for sports.
On the court, the Camden High Panthers boys basketball team is back on track as winners of 4 straight games. After a challenging stretch that involved losing 3 out of 4 games, including to the #1 team in New Jersey, St. Anthony, the Panthers are positioning themselves for a run deep into the postseason. The team is led by Jamal Holloway, who recently passed the 1,000-point milestone, as did senior guard Laisha Stevens, one of Woodrow Wilson High School Lady Tigers. Congratulations to both student athletes. As a reminder, Camden High Panthers boy basketball games are now available on CCSD-TV. Check your TV station or our YouTube page to see the boys in action.
This episode's principal profile takes us to North Camden, where Principal Stephen Bournet is putting his mark on Coopers Point Family School. We sat down with Principal Bournet to talk about his meteoric rise through elementary and middle school and why he enjoys Star Trek as much as he does.
So I grew up in a time where there were all these wunderkinds popping up, and I use that term sarcastically because obviously we weren't brainiacs. We didn't have 800 IQs. The idea is that we were in school in a time where unfortunately the teachers were not, instruction was not as challenging for us, and so the teachers saying, I don't know what to do with this person. He's read every book in the library. Well, let's move up to the next grade. So in my schooling, I believe I had a wonderful 4th grade teacher, Ms. Gardner, who really said, like, he's a little bit smarter than everyone else. It was before differentiated instruction. It was before mixed ability grouping and high groups and low groups. So they said, well, let's bump him up to 5th grade. And so I got bumped up to 5th grade, leaving my peers, going to like, I don't know who these kids are. And then in that range, there was a magnet school, a magnet program opening, and they were pulling kids from neighborhood schools to go to this magnet program. And so they said, oh, you know what? We're going to send Stephen over to the magnet program. So they sent me over to the magnet program, and once again, I was supposed to be in 5th grade, but technically I was supposed to be in 4th. So I'm in this magnet program now, and I get over there, and they say, you know what, I think we might have to move him up because I think he's still a little bit ahead of everybody else. So then they put me into the 6th grade. So I'm in the 6th grade, and it's okay. Now I'm a little, I'm 2 years behind, younger than everyone else here. And so I sort of said like, okay, and so I was in 6th grade for language arts, but I went to the 7th grade class for math, and they were like, okay, well, he's doing this and doing this. And then I think the next year, they said, well, we have to put him in, you know, another grade because what grade are we going to put him in? So they ended up, we took at that point, the state assessment was the Iowa Test of Basic Skills. So I took the Iowa Test of Basic Skills. The 2 8th graders, who were pretty smart, and remember this was a magnet program, received like a 10.9 and a 10.8. I had a 10.3. So they said, well, we're not going to keep him here. He's already knocked him out. So they graduated me. So in 1 year, I went through, you know, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, and the next year I was in high school as a 12-year-old, and going into the 9th grade. So that's what my schooling was like. So and I went to Whitney Young, which was a prestigious magnet high school in Chicago, which touted a lot of, you know, Michelle Obama graduated from there, et cetera, et cetera. And I graduated when I was 16 and went to Northwestern. So there was there's been this pattern of, I've never quite been where I was supposed to be, you know, with peer groups, even when I college. So now I'm, you know, 2 or 3 years younger than everybody else in college. But what it did give me was a jump start on my education career. So now I was teaching when I was 20. I actually was leaning towards the whole route to be an astronaut, and because I was really into math and science, I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And then I said, how long does it take before I get into space? That's too long. I'm ready. Never mind, I go into education. I've always had an artistic background, so I actually did a lot of stuff with cartooning and comic books and things like that. And so my art teacher was disappointed. She said, oh, you're not going to be an art teacher? You're not going to be a cartoonist? I was like, no, I'm going to be English, because English was the only thing that challenged me. They know Star Trek and Batman. Anyone's been in my office or seen my car. I was like, Mr. Porter, you know, I love the statement when kids come off and say, Mr. Porter, you like Batman? And so I think what they might not know is that I think I actually have created, or at least over the past few years, because I really wanted to go into comic book writing and be a comic book artist, a whole universe of characters and stories that I was able to take and manifest and do my own play. I'm a fan of calendars, and I actually have a lot more, but I don't have enough nails. And every year it drives some people crazy because the calendars are not, and they say, oh, I'm looking at the wrong calendar. Why don't you have a new? I said, oh, I have a new calendar. I know where the new calendar is. But this is my fraternity calendar. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. This other calendar is one of my passions, Star Trek. And I love this picture because it's Black History Month, and it's this wonderful image of Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura with Abraham Lincoln. Very, you know, very intentional that let's put this on February, you know. And then of course this other calendar obviously is a calendar of my family, which, as you can see, is from 2009. But it was a present we decided to do for a year, and for me it's always brings back memories of, oh, that's right, this is what we did when we went to that family trip in Sedona, or we went to Disney World. And so it's a little bit, it tells you a little bit about my fraternity, my passions, and my family. This is my second year. I think I've pushed this year and last year how much I really want kids to be able to think critically. So we pushed that, and so that's why whenever I go into talk to teachers and coach teachers about the types of questions you're asking. Did you push them and make them ask those higher order questions? Because I want kids to be able to think critically. In math and science and social studies and language arts, I want them to be able to form an opinion and support it. And instead of just being thinkers, I want them to be leaders. And I always use this sort of triumvirate. I want them to be global thinkers, global leaders, and keep them in mind with how do I also know about the world in general, abroad, the world around me, or locally, my community and my school. And then how do I assume a leadership position? We're really just getting started. And I know that it's overwhelming for everybody. It's overwhelming for our students, it's overwhelming for our teachers, and some days it's overwhelming even for me. But it's a great work that we're doing. That statement that Frederick Douglass made about if there's no struggle, there's no progress. We're doing a lot of struggling right now. But hopefully that progress is right around the corner.
For Express Yourself, take a listen to Dania Crisden, an ambitious student at Med East High School who is looking to make a real difference for her peers and herself.
Express yourself.
I started the cheerleading team so girls would have something to go to at school that was a positive influence. We have a team of 15 strong. I founded the cheer squad in May of last year. Since I founded the team, we have been doing a toy drive for a basketball game and a homecoming performance. For the next 2 months, we will be fundraising to go to a national competition called Battle at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. This is important to us because it will be our first time being on stage. We have a GoFundMe, and it's gofundme.com/MEtEastCheer.
Express yourself.
To celebrate National Counseling Week, this episode's guest interview is with Yvette Pruitt, a beloved college and career counselor at Woodrow Wilson High School. We sat down with Ms. Pruitt to learn more about how she prepares students to get into and through college or a training program.
Part of my job that I'm most proud of is being able to serve as the college and career counselor. That capacity allows me to work with students from grade 9 through 12. I get to see them through any ups and downs, but also I get to see their achievements in a tangible way. So as they receive their college acceptance letters, they get accepted into different programs, as their grades improve, I get to experience that kind of immediate gratification in seeing the joy in the students. Additionally, what I like about being a college and career counselor is just the feedback from the students. So many of our students come back, so I get a chance to track the students. A lot of our college partners share information about the students as they are enrolled in their schools, in their EOF programs, or in their other programs. So just being able to be updated on their success and their progress that they're making towards their post-secondary education is just very rewarding. Yeah, so besides our work that we do in the Career Access Center, we have tremendous college partners and other community partners. Our regular partners include CHAMP Gear Up program, who help us tremendously. And we also have Upward Bound, Camden County College, who was tremendous. We had an increase in our college attendance and participation last year, largely due to them. Many other partners come in. They assist us in taking the children or students on field trips and to the campuses. Omega Psi Phi fraternity, they sponsor an HBCU fair at the Susquehanna Center every year. So we are allowed to participate in that activity. The students earn actual college acceptances and scholarships on site. Our college partners also come to our school and conduct on-site interviews with our students. So those exposures really help our students plan for their post-secondary life. Between Camden High School and Woodrow Wilson, there is a fall and a spring citywide college fair. So this year, the fall citywide fair is going to be here at Woodrow Wilson High School. In addition to that, we take them to several other sponsored we take them to other college fairs. And DeVry was very generously offered to assist us in sponsoring a large college fair, which we are going to host here at Woodrow Wilson in May. So we're looking forward to the Pennsylvania Consortium of Colleges and Universities, as well as some other New Jersey colleges as well.
And that's all the time we have for this episode of CCSD News and Review. Remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and watch us on YouTube. For Brendan and the entire team here, I'm Diane Harmon. Thanks for watching.